Stop telling yourself the lie that you chose your dog because of a breed preference or a simple moment of compassion at a local shelter. It does not matter if you spent $5,000 on a vetted pedigree with a lineage longer than a royal family, or if you found a starving, terrified stray in a gas station parking lot during a thunderstorm. Your conscious mind thinks it is in control of this relationship, but your nervous system is actually running a 15,000-year-old biological script that you cannot override. You are a member of Generation X. You are the bridge between the analog silence of the 1970s and the suffocating digital noise of today. You were raised to be a ghost in your own home, and that dog sleeping at your feet right now is the only contract you have ever signed in your entire life that has not been breached by a divorce, a corporate layoff, or a social media algorithm. You did not just get a pet. You recruited a biological witness to your existence because you have finally realized that humans are too unpredictable and too fragile to trust with your true self. Welcome to Psychology. Today, we are unlocking the pack leader myth. We are going to look at the disturbing reality of why your mission to rescue or own a dog is actually a desperate, subconscious attempt to save the only version of yourself that still knows how to feel. To understand why a 55-year-old professional with a high-stress career finds more peace in a dog's silent, rhythmic breathing than in a spouse's conversation, we have to look at what I call the latchkey blueprint. This is the architecture of your isolation. If you were born between 1965 and 1980, you were part of a massive, unmonitored psychological experiment. You were the children of the silent sandwich. You made your own lunches before you were 10. You nursed your own wounds with stolen Band-Aids. You let yourselves into empty houses after school with a cold brass key tied around your neck with a piece of shoelace. You learned before you could even read a chapter book that adults were busy, that systems were fragile, and that your primary job in life was to not be a burden to anyone. This forced independence did not just make you tough. It rewired your brain to be deeply suspicious of human dependency. When you bring a dog into your life, whether it is a high-maintenance purebred that requires a specific diet or a broken rescue with a traumatic past, your brain is seeking a safe object. You are seeking a relationship where the rules of engagement never change. For the Gen Xer, a dog is the only entity on this planet that provides the stability you were forced to live without 40 years ago. It is not just love. It is a biological apology for the solitude of your childhood. Let us talk about the mask. Every single day, you wake up and you perform a role. You are the reliable boss who never cracks under pressure. You are the patient caregiver for aging parents who are losing their memories. You are the provider for children who communicate in a digital language you will never fully speak or understand. This performance is emotionally exhausting. It drains your dopamine and it spikes your cortisol levels until you are vibrating with unspoken anxiety. Researchers at Azabu University in Japan identified something called the oxytocin gaze positive loop. This is a neurochemical hack that no other species on Earth shares with humans. When you look into your dog's eyes and they look back, your brain releases a massive surge of oxytocin. This is the same molecule that floods a mother's brain when she holds her newborn for the first time. But for you, this loop is a survival mechanism. It allows you to bypass the mask. Your dog has no hidden curriculum. They do not want to discuss your retirement plan, your cholesterol levels, or your career failures. They do not care if you were passed over for a promotion, or if you feel like a failure as a parent. This is why Generation X men, specifically, find it easier to be vulnerable with a Labrador than with their own best friend. The dog is a safe harbor where the ironclad stoicism of the 1980s is finally allowed to fail. There is a massive, highly profitable myth in the modern pet industry known as the alpha or pack leader mentality. You have been told by television experts and books that you need to dominate your dog to be respected. You have been told to be the leader of the pack. But look at your actual life for a moment. You are already the alpha everywhere else. You are the alpha of your household finances. You are the alpha of your team at work. You are the alpha for every single person who depends on you to keep the world spinning. You are tired of being in charge. You do not actually want to be a pack leader. What you truly want is to be essential. In an era where artificial intelligence is coming for your job security, and your kids are moving into a virtual metaverse you do not understand, the dog is the only being that confirms you are the absolute center of the universe. Whether you rescued them from a shelter or saved them from an unethical breeder, you are recruiting a witness to your existence. You do not want a subordinate. You want a witness who validates that you still matter in a world that is trying to phase you out. As Generation X faces the reality of the empty nest, a massive biological shift occurs in the brain. Your children are finally becoming independent, exactly as you were taught to be. And your biological nurturing drive suddenly has a massive surplus of energy with nowhere to go. This is the exact moment when the dog moves from the backyard, or the kitchen floor, to the center of your bed. Geneticists have discovered that domestic dogs carry unique genetic insertions in chromosome 6 that make them hypersocial. We literally spent 15,000 years breeding them to never grow up emotionally. While your human children grow up to tell you that you are cringe, or simply stop calling because they are busy with their own lives, the dog remains the eternal child. For the Gen Xer who felt invisible and unheard as a kid, having a creature that is eternally, physically dependent on you is the ultimate psychological healing. You are not just feeding a pet. You are satisfying a primal, ancient need to be needed that the modern world is trying to strip away from you. You are feeding the part of yourself that was never nurtured. But this intensity of connection comes with a heavy price tag that most people are afraid to discuss. Because your nervous system has co-regulated with your dog, meaning your heart rates and your cortisol levels actually synchronize through the night as you sleep near each other, the stakes of their health are seismic to your own emotional stability. We spent most of human history sleeping in groups for safety, and for you, your dog has become your primary security signal. They are your biological alarm system. When their behavior shifts, if they stop jumping on the bed, if they start seeking isolation in a corner, or if their sleep patterns suddenly break, it is not just a sign of aging. It is a neurological alarm for your own system. For a generation that relies on these animals as their only unmasked connection to reality, missing these signs is a breach of the only contract that has not failed you. You owe it to your loyal witness to pay attention to the silence, because they are the only ones who have been truly listening to yours for years. They hear the things you do not say to your coworkers or your family. The truth is that you are the generation that stood between two worlds. You survived the analog silence of the 70s and the digital chaos of the 2020s. You were raised to believe that needing someone was a sign of weakness. But in that 6-inch patch of mattress where your dog presses their warmth against your leg, you found a different truth. You did not just get a dog because you wanted a hobby. You found the key to your own humanity. Whether you bought him, adopted him, or found him on the side of the road, you did not rescue him. You just finally found someone who understands the latchkey kid hiding behind your professional mask. You found a soul that does not require you to be anything other than present. This is the ultimate subversion of the modern world. In a society that demands you be faster, younger, and more digital, your dog demands that you be slow, old, and physical. They are the last bastion of the real world. Now, I want you to do something that might feel uncomfortable. I want you to switch off the screen after this. I want you to go find your dog, wherever they are in the house. I want you to look at them, not as a pet, but as the mirror they actually are. Reclaim your nervous system from the corporate machine and the digital noise. You have the key in your hand. Now, for the first time in your life, go and use it for yourself. Subscribe to Psychology if you want the truth about your own mind, even when it hurts to unlock the door. We are going deeper into the mechanics of why you do what you do, and why the world feels the way it does. I will see you in the next discovery, but only if you are brave enough to look behind the mask you have spent 40 years building. Think about the archaeology of this relationship for a second. We have found graves from 14,000 years ago, where humans were buried with their dogs, their hands resting on the animals' heads. This bond is older than cities. It is older than money. It is older than the concept of a career. You are tapping into a prehistoric safety net. When the world feels like it is spinning out of control, when politics are divisive and the economy is uncertain, your biology reaches back to the one thing that worked. The dog. They are the only creatures that have transitioned with us from the cave to the skyscraper without losing their essence. They are the constant in our variables. For a Gen Xer who has seen the world change more than any other generation, that constancy is a drug. It is a sedative for a soul that has been on high alert since 1975. This is why you forgive them for the chewed shoes and the expensive surgeries. You aren't paying for a dog's health, you are paying for your own peace of mind. You are protecting the only being that knows your secrets and still likes you. In the end, the pack leader myth is a lie, because the dog is actually the one leading you back to yourself. They are leading you away from the screen and back to the grass. They are leading you away from the stress of the future and back to the simplicity of the moment. You think you are the one holding the leash, but they are the ones keeping you tethered to the earth. Without them, you would have drifted off into the digital void years ago. They are your anchor. They are your evidence that you are real. As you move through the rest of your day, pay attention to the mask. Notice when you put it on for your boss or your neighbors. And notice the exact moment you take it off when you walk through your front door and see that tail wagging. That moment of transition is the most important part of your day. It is the moment you become human again. Don't take it for granted. The world wants you to be a consumer, a producer, and a user. Your dog just wants you to be. And in that simple requirement, there is a profound freedom that most people never find. You found it. Don't let go of it. You were the kid with the key, but now you have the dog. And that means you are never truly coming home to an empty house ever again. Generation X was the last generation to have a truly unsupervised childhood. We were the last ones to know what it felt like to be truly alone in the world. And maybe that is why we are the ones who appreciate this bond the most. We know what the alternative looks like. We know the weight of the silence in an empty kitchen. So we filled that silence with the sound of paws on the floor. We replaced the cold key with a warm heart. This is our legacy. This is our secret. And it is the most beautiful thing we have ever built. Stay tuned to Psychology as we continue to tear down the walls and show you what is really happening inside your head. The door is open. All you have to do is walk through it. See you soon.